Okay, so here's the next one we're gonna do here. Customer brought this to the shop. It's an axle, looks like out of a big forklift. This is our one good bore. Still had a bushing in it. And it is nice and round, but it is the only one. As you can see, these ones are pretty bad. And there's quite the lip on the inside, on the bottom. You know, that pin must have come up and then worn that away on both of these. Upper hole on this one's not too bad, but you could still kind of see it's kind of ovaled out. And then we got a broken bolt to pull out here. No big deal. And we got the same thing. There's probably a good almost ½ an inch lip right here where that pin came up and cocked sideways in there. So we'll get that done and we'll bring you along. So what we got to do first is we'll set up the line boring machine. I might see if I can get this out first, and then we'll put the line boring machine in here. We'll have to use our reduced bar 35 mil setup on this. Probably make it a little easier. A little lighter bar. I'm still waiting on a short bar to come in so I can do like 2-inch bores with a short bar instead of using that full 6-foot bar. It's a little heavy. So this is our target, 2.170. Just going off the measurement of these bushings, we've got a little, if it would focus, they are a split bushing. You can see the little split there, little thin guy, copper. And then we got one pin just to verify. So we got the 4 bushings and the pin. So that's the one thing, if you guys are learning, you definitely don't want to start any of these jobs until you have all your stuff. So I always require bushings and pins, so you can verify and make sure it's right before you leave, or it leaves your shop. You don't want this stuff coming back on you. It just looks goofy. So we do our due diligence. So what I did, I pressure washed this off, get some of the grease off, and we stuck it on the table, and I just tack it on. I got one tack here, one tack on the back side, just to kind of hold it in place. And then, so it just gives it a little bit more rigidity. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our custom mount on the top, 2 posts, and then we're gonna have a regular square pillow block on the bottom, 3 standoffs here, and you'll see that bar running through, motor on the top. And we'll do a pre-cut. This one's fine, we're not gonna touch that one. This one we're gonna cut out just a little bit, and then we're gonna weld it. And then the same with this side. This side we're gonna do the top and the bottom, slight pre-cut on this. We're gonna remove that big shoulder in there, and then we're gonna weld it out. So plenty of meat. We could do a pie weld in here to try to build it up, but I think once we cut this out, it's gonna we're gonna have to open this hole up anyway, so it'll be pretty close to straight, or pretty close to round by the time we remove all that. And then we'll just start welding it out. Throw 1 pass on this, probably 2 on the bottom, and then we'll go and cut it out and should be good to go. Center pins are perfect. They still have bushings in them that are good. They're gonna push these out and put new ones. They just want us to do the ends. So pretty quick, easy job. Probably a little 1-day job, unless an emergency comes in or something crazy. But we'll bring you back once we got something set up here. So this is how we're gonna remove that broken stud, or that broken bolt. So you weld the washer, you first grind off the area so you can see the broken bolt. Weld the washer onto the top of the bolt. Weld the nut to the top of the washer. And if everything goes well, the fucker should back out. Probably should pour some water on this. So this is the setup. I forgot to video the last portion of this, but what we ended up doing is I bored it out, kind of cleaned it up, and then I welded it. We did one weld, and then I sector welded it from here over to there where it was kind of ovaled out. Cleaning it up again. I don't want to get too much weld in there because then the bar might not fit, you know, you might kind of fuck yourself. So do a cleanup pass in here, and then I will weld it out again because there was still a couple of little low spots, but now it's, you know, it's clean and it's round, and we'll put one little weld pass on there, clean it up. You know, unfortunately sometimes that's what you got to do on some of these that are kind of messed up, but bill accordingly. No one's feelings get hurt. So we're about through with this hole here. So what I'm gonna do is take this bar out, and I've got my welding bar already set up still. I'm eating lunch here, but yeah, we'll pull the bar out, put the welding rod back in, and put one more weld pass, and then I'll just clean it up, and we will move over to that side. Ignore the dirty ass shop. It's kind of a mess right now, but it is what it is when you're busy as hell. You know, you just push shit to the side and keep going. You know, I'm out here on a Saturday now fucking with this because I got to take Monday off. So the joy. But when you become an owner, this is the shit you deal with. You gotta work whenever the work is here. So, but anyway, all right, we'll bring you back when we get the welder back in there, and we'll show you some shots of that. Got to figure out how to get the be able to video the arc shots, you know, without it just being a bright ass white light. But if anybody's got any tips, message me, and maybe I can start adding some of that in here too. So we got this one welding out. As you can see, I'm holding the lead so it doesn't wrap up on the wand here as it's spinning around. I got my engine drive on. We're just running it off this feeder here. This is a Propax, same thing as the Miller 12 ES, but about a third of the damn price. Works great. Been using this one for years, and it feeds wire real good, so that's what we use for this. Got 19, 20 volts, something like that. It's buzzing away. It's about halfway through now. Once it finishes up, we'll probably clean this up maybe 2 passes. You got to take real light cuts with this 35 mil bar, and we'll get her over to the other side. Does that mean my bearing is bad? It's letting the smoke out and the grease in a violent fashion. Alright, so it's all welded out. See if we can't get a shot of that. There. Not going to be able to get in there too tight, but you can kind of see kind of what it does. Just stacks them pretty nicely. Sure as hell beats doing it by hand, especially these little small bores. So now it's all welded out, top, bottom, and then we'll clean this out, get our fitment right so our bushings fit, and move on. So for those guys that are doing line boring, this is kind of how I found the easiest, best way to measure these. Just a mag base, and you just go to the tip of your cutter, zero out your dial, and then extend it out, and you can get pretty damn close like this. And you know, verify. So the way I do it is use some spring calipers, and these take some getting used to. You know, just getting the feel for it. Oh man, phone does not want to focus today. But yeah, so I just picked these up on Amazon, or actually these are from eBay. These are some Starretts that I found. Let's see. So, and I've got lots of different sizes of these, you know, going up bigger sizes and stuff. So, and then we just check them with a mic. Pretty simple. So we're trying this to keep the chips off of the bearing, because it decided to let smoke out and melt all the grease out of it. So try to keep some of the chips off of it. Yeah, we got probably one more pass on this to clean it up, and then it'll be done. Pretty easy though. All right, so here's our first completed bore. Actually, pretty nice surface finish here. Had quite a bit that we added to this, but yeah, it's done. So I'll show you kind of what we got going on the other side. We'll get to probably on Tuesday. So as you can see, let's see. This is the good side. You can see how close it came to this threaded port here. Should be about that. But a little bit, a little loose. And then the bottom. I don't know if you can tell, but you can maybe see if it'll focus. You see this lip right here in the bottom. Quite a bit there. So that's how the other side was that we replaced or rebuilt. It had about the same amount of damage on it. So this side's going to be the fun side, because we got to get this one lined up. And I'm not sure, I guess what we'll have to do is measure to this pin boss, or I can put a pin in that side and then measure our bar, measure from that pin to the bar on the top, and then on the bottom once we push the bushings in, to make sure it's square, you know, forward and backwards and side to side. I guess we'll probably go off of the sides of this, because these are probably pretty square, you know, front to back for the bar, to make sure it's square this way or this way, and then, you know, measure to the bar to make sure we're square front to back. But we'll get it done, and then we'll bring you along for that side too. Kind of show you. I'm going to see if I can get a mount for the camera so you can kind of see how that process goes down. It just takes a little bit of time. You got to take your time and measure it. But yeah, it's not too bad. We'll get our mess cleaned up here, and I'm going to call it a night. It's getting late already. But we'll see you when we bring you back for this side. All right, so we're on to this side. This is the one that needs both of them done. I didn't show how I set this up, but we basically just used the cones, centering cones in here, and then measured from this edge to the bar on both sides, there and here, and then measured from the face to here of the bar, to here. And then I just used some cardboard shim to shim it to get it straight. And then I just measured across to the other side just to verify, but it's very, very good that way. There was enough of a face there, it wasn't too bad. And then this one, luckily this side, the pin slid up and in, so this face was still pretty good. So the centering cones got it within about a 1/16, and then you just shim it and measure it and get it right, so it's dead on. So now we'll mount our motor, do a skim cut through here, and then we'll just start welding it. This side's going to need quite a bit more weld, as you can see. You can see how much room there is from the bar to the face as opposed to the back there. It's quite wallowed out. And then this side is actually the opposite. There's more here than there is here, because when it wore this way like this, which is pretty common. You'll see that. So, but yeah, so you want to make sure when you set these up that your bar spins freely and slides freely. That's how you know you got it without a bind on it. And then tighten everything down, tack everything up. You don't have to weld these out. A lot of guys, they'll sit there and try to weld these pretty gnarly, and it's just not needed. It just makes more work for you at the end. So just tack them on 2-3 sides to where they won't rock, with the force of the motor. And that's about all you need to do, and then just tighten these down. This small of a bore, we're going to make small cuts, so we don't need anything to here. If I was using these with the 2-inch bar or 55 mil bar, and I was going to make big cuts, I would put another brace from there to here just to keep this flex down. And ideally this should be like probably 1-inch plate, 1.25-inch plate. I just didn't have any. I had a bunch of 3/4 plate laying around, so that's what we made these out of. So, if you're going to make your own, keep that in mind. These should probably be 1.25 inch, something like that, just to keep the flex out of them a little bit. Or you can simply just put a flat bar here, all the way across, and do the same thing. So we got our reducer bushings in it. We're going to be using our reducer drive bushing that goes to the motor. So the motor will slide on, this drive bushing will go on, and then our feed bar. So we'll show you once we get that all done. We'll bring you back.